12 weeks out from Ironman U.K. One of my hardest challenges to date yet. The date is set. I've set a time goal. The countdown begins now.
So we're just en route to Velomotion in Milton Keynes, which is a bike fitting studio. I was recommended by one of my good friends. I'm going to get my road bike fitted, and that's the bike I've been doing the majority of my triathlon training throughout the winter on. I'm due to pick up my triathlon bike in a couple of weeks time, so I'm going to bring that down there too. So I'm interested to see how Velomotion are able to kind of tweak my position, hopefully maybe help me produce more power, make me more comfortable on the bike. I get a little bit of wrist pain, a little bit of pins and needles in my hands, stuff like that. So I'm going to be with them for the next couple of hours, and I'll catch up with you after.
Put simply, you're trying to align the hand and the forearm so the hand sits squarely on a hood. If you're up on the top of that hood, you probably find that you're spending a lot of time like that.
That's it, yeah.
And then throw in the fact that you're not probably getting out of the saddle. Obviously, on a trainer, you're just literally locked in that very kind of static position, apart from obviously your legs turning over for a long period of time. You can see why it'll kind of catch up to you. The saddle angle can play a part. You know, if you're always bumping yourself forwards, you end up carrying a lot of weight in your hands.
Yeah.
You're a long way forward on the saddle. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is you look at kind of rear of your backside, rear of the saddle. You know, generally speaking, someone's backside will kind of roughly line up with the rear of the saddle. Yeah. So it's interesting to note that you're quite a long way forward of that.
Yeah.
So we've just got done with the bike fit for my road bike, and it was really interesting. There was lots of tweaks to be made on the bike, including the positions of the cleats, the position of the seat slightly, the height of it, and how far forward it was or how far back it was. Also some stuff around the handlebars. A few tweaks were made there, and you'll see that in the video. But I feel like what I got out of it was that my position was fairly good to start off with. We've optimized it a little bit. Now it should be a little bit more comfortable on my wrists. My spinal position looks a lot better, and my head position's a lot better, so hopefully this translates into more comfort on the bike. And I'm going to be checking in with Velomotion in the next few weeks, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks for this bike specifically, to get some further tweaks made based on feedback when I'm riding. So we'll check in again then.
Ironman was something that always interested me as a young Royal Marine, back in the day now, a while ago. There was lads that were within my company and stuff like that had done it, and it was always probably a goal that I set for myself when I was a little bit older. Then I left the Royal Marines, went into professional MMA, was competing throughout that process, and my career was kind of ground to a halt when I had an injury in my hip and had to undergo surgery. And at the time, the surgeon advice was, don't run on your hip ever again. That was the first bit of advice after the surgery. And then secondly, that I'd need a hip replacement within the next 5 years. Now, if I think back now, that surgery was well over 8 years ago, so it hasn't kind of played out quite like that. But when I was recovering from the surgery, my kind of priority was just to get back to training and then some form of running. But I kind of put the idea that I was going to do kind of any long distance running or any long distance kind of endurance events ever again to kind of the back burner. I didn't listen to the surgeon. I recovered from my injury. I recovered well, but I just didn't have it as a goal. And then certainly I set up a business, and I kind of watched my physical fitness decrease over a period of time. I went from having like a real firm training goals with competition fighting, so mixed martial arts, competing professionally, fighting in arenas, on TV, stuff like that, cool stuff at the time. But having a focus and training goals to having this injury, then switching my focus to more work and business goals, and then building a life for my family. I've got 2 young children now, one's 3.5 and one's 2, and a lot of my time over the last 5 years or so has been spent working on the business, setting up a life for my family and spending time with my family. I've definitely been training throughout the process, but I wasn't running an awful lot, I wasn't cycling an awful lot, certainly wasn't swimming. Swimming is something that I've had to pick up more recently. But I got to the point where I wanted to focus on some training again and set some physical goals again for myself. And I knew that to get me motivated, it had to be something challenging, something that was going to push me. And I was inspired by the work I do with my business, Hardiman Performance, where we work with active people, people of all shapes and sizes, from kind of recreational gym goers to competitive professional athletes. We help them recover from pain and injury and get back to their sport. I was kind of motivated by watching some of these guys and girls go through the process, recover and get back to sport, and seeing all the physical goals that they were setting and achieving. And I thought, I fancy getting back into it and pushing myself again to see what my body can do. So at first I considered getting back in the cage. Considered training for a fight, getting my body weight back down, putting myself through that, because it was something that I was comfortable with, and something that I knew, and something that I kind of knew that I could get back into, and it would be a big challenge to go from where I was back and get back into the cage and be competitive again. But then I started to think, I've got children now. Is that something I really want to do? Do the risks kind of outweigh the rewards? And I think I kind of arrived at a point where that was the case. And then I stumbled across an Instagram post, and it was a kind of post about Ironman U.K, and I was like, aha, that was something I always wanted to do when I was younger. Something that I've writ off and didn't think I'd ever do. Let's see if I can get myself into shape and get back to that sort of level of performance. And I knew it was going to be a long and hard journey. I was going to have to push myself. And at the time, although I was running, like I said, I didn't necessarily listen to the surgeon when he told me to kind of stop running, and I made a full recovery. my tissues certainly weren't able to tolerate long periods of running. You know, I probably ran maybe 6-7 miles at a time, and then that would be the most that I'd run, and I'd probably only run, you know, a couple times a week, and then maybe not run for long periods. So I knew that getting back to a marathon distance after a 112 mile cycle, you know, and then after a 2.4 mile swim would be a massive challenge, and that's why I chose Ironman.